I reckon video killed the radio star and streaming killed TV. Welcome back to the I Reckon podcast.
I reckon we're coming to you from the world headquarters of Tandler's Tallow in beautiful Aberdeen, North Carolina.
Once again, purple light this time, more purple this time, and we got two of them now.
We're still playing with it.
We're still playing with it. How was your week?
Little bit dragging. We're still in the government shutdown, so I'm still, the only civilian in my office.
Working for free.
Going on a month, 30 plus days. Big goose egg.
Yeah.
So that stinks.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get some traction this week. They paid the soldiers on the 1st.
Again,
which is great. There's still some up in the air about what's going to happen on mid-month, and it'd really be terrible if we weren't able, or if our elected officials weren't able to make something happen between now and then.
It seems after the municipal elections, people are chit-chatting a bit more.
There's a little bit of there's a little bit of movement, I think, from both sides. At least the Democrats have come forward with a proposal, which they had not done in the 30 some odd days prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully some cooler heads and some more moderate positions will prevail, and we'll come to something we can live with. It's not just soldiers. I mean, this is affecting a lot of Americans. It's affecting air travel.
Yeah, 10% cut in.
As we're coming up on the holiday, the busiest travel day or busiest travel week of the year, probably. And, there's going to be a lot of frustrated families and a lot of frustrated people that won't be able to spend Thanksgiving with their loved ones. And, the safety of, people flying across our country is paramount. And, we should never put ourselves in a position to where, we jeopardize that.
Yeah. It'll be traveling during the holidays is a nightmare, no matter which way you try to do it.
Yep.
This doesn't seem to be helping.
It won't. From air traffic controllers to TSA agents, none of those guys are getting paid. And, those types of jobs, you might be able to miss one paycheck, but if you start missing more than one, man, it'll have a tremendous impact.
It's a lot of young people who are kind of getting their footing.
Exactly.
So a lot of young people live paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly.
So as is to be expected, but you don't want to put any unnecessary strain. So hopefully this week before the podcast drops, we'll have reached a deal.
Maybe. As
you guys know, we record on Saturday and release every Thursday. So you never know what could happen between now and then. But speaking of deals. And this brings us to the theme, the topic of our episode today. We're talking about TV and media. And it's a hot topic because of the Disney/Hulu and YouTube debacle.
Yeah, two more entities that can't get along and figure out what's going on. Hulu is owned by Disney, so is ESPN, so is ABC. Disney is a big media conglomerate, as we know. But the problem is that Disney and YouTube TV cannot come to an agreement on what it takes or what the cost is to keep those Disney family and networks on YouTube TV streaming service.
They call it a carriage fee.
Yes,
that is at issue here.
Oh, somebody's done some homework.
I did. I've got notes, y'all. Because listen, I don't have YouTube TV money. I got regular YouTube. I watch ads and the whole nine, so I didn't know anything about this.
YouTube used to be a great deal. It did. And then they kind of snuffed out the cable companies and the satellite providers, and now they've come full circle.
The channels are all trying to start their own streaming service, and then they try to get together, get you to bundle, and then pretty much what you end up with once they start introducing advertising, because that's the business model. Get a bunch of subscribers when you don't have advertising, and then go to the businesses and be like, hey, we've got 2 million, 5 million subscribers, and then you just end up with cable again.
That's it. You come full circle. The Ferris wheel does a rotation, and instead of it being a cable company, now it's your streaming service that continues to jack up the price on you after they've cleared, their competition out of the way. But that's where we are today. Mm-hmm. Let's go back.
Let's start at the beginning.
Let's begin at the beginning.
Yes.
So this whole fiasco and not being able to watch college football through my streaming service made me get in the Wayback Machine and remember what TV was when I was growing up, And I will tell you, we'll start with the service. There were none, Okay. Beside our house when I was growing up, when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, we had an antenna on a steel pole.
Do you have any memories of being a child and not having a TV in the house? Did you guys always have one?
Yeah, we always had.
You always had one.
Yes.
Okay, so you weren't a big radio
We always had a TV.
Guy.
They looked nothing like they look now. They were a piece of furniture that happened to play TV.
They were encased in wood.
Huge. Yes, they were huge. It was a console. Mm-hmm. The TV screen might have been 32 inches, but the console that housed it was probably, it was bigger than any coffee table we ever had.
Because I don't think entertainment centers became a thing until the TVs got smaller, because you didn't need an entertainment center.
It was its own piece of furniture,
you
right?
needed.
And it was heavy, because back in the day, we didn't have LED, LCD technology. Mm-hmm. It was a TV, and they still had tubes, the old electronic tubes.
They were probably made out of metal.
That you had to, that went into them, right?
Oh my gosh!
It was something else. No remote control. Never. I can remember TVs without. I was the remote control.
Yeah.
I didn't have a remote control. My dad had a remote control, and it was, boy, go change that to 12.
Yes.
Go change that to 20. Go change that to 32. Mm-hmm. Those are the 3 numbered stations we had. It's funny, I can still remember that.
Yeah,
right?
That's really interesting.
NBC was channel 12, CBS was channel 20, and ABC was channel 32, and PBS was channel 26, mm-hmm. right? And those were the only 3 stations we got.
Yeah.
That was it.
Let's see. Again, I got so many questions. So were you told don't sit too close to it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You go blind, right?
And back then, you probably would have.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. I don't know. But I was told don't sit too close to it. Turn it off if there's a thunderstorm.
Yes.
Right? Because you'd fry it. Also, the remote control duties that I fulfilled did not just occur in the house, right? I was sent outside the house because if the wind blew, the antenna turned. I had to go outside the house, and my dad would lean to the window and say, okay, keep going.
To the left.
To the left.
Stop.
Keep
Go back.
going. Keep going. All right. And if it got really bad and there was something really important to him to watch, I may have to stand out there.
I was going to say, what is the craziest thing you ever did to get signal?
On the spot corrections?
On the roof?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And then we also, we had the antenna that ran the TV in the living room, mm-hmm. right? And then I had a black and white TV in my bedroom.
Oh, but you had a TV in your bedroom. Yeah, I'm sure you felt like a king.
It was the size of the screen was the size of your laptop.
Yeah, but it went back to the end of the table.
Huge. It was huge, but the screen was the size of your laptop, and it was in black and white.
Wow.
Right, black and white, and then that had what we called rabbit ears. So the antenna sat on the top of the TV.
So at least you didn't have to go outside.
No, I could manipulate it there, move it closer to the window. It all depended on what the weather was doing.
Yeah.
If the wind was blowing the wrong way, I was only watching PBS. That was it. It was Sesame Street for everybody if the wind was blowing the wrong way.
Oh, my gosh. Did your parents ever talk about, like, back when they didn't have TVs or when they got their first one?
I can remember my dad talking about it. Mm. His entertainment, when he was that age, 10, 11, 12, was the radio.
Yeah.
The radio sat in the living room.
The fireside chats.
The fireside chats, that's right. The radio sat in the living room, and everybody gathered around the radio. And then there was programming on the radio then, kind of like there is on TV now. Mm-hmm. Depending on what station you were on, you might get the Grand Ole Opry. You might get the news. You might get a radio series.
They would have like sitcoms, but it would just be the sound.
Absolutely.
Which is really interesting because now like so many people kind of don't listen to music as much. Like I definitely don't listen to as much music. I listen to a ton of podcasts and like some of these podcasts are like telling stories and all this stuff. So it's kind of like
it's weird, like we've come back.
Yeah, people's tastes have come back.
Our mediums have changed.
Yeah, how you get it is different.
How you receive it, how many people can broadcast it. You know, because the people that could broadcast or the people that could create content and make it available to people then were just radio stations, TV stations and whatnot. Now, anybody.
Because like when I was a kid, like people were tiring of talk radio. It was like almost like, oh gosh, talk radio, flip the channel. And now like, I mean, I drive almost 40 minutes to and from the shop every day. And it's like, it's very rare that I turn on music. Like it is essentially talk radio. It's my podcast all the time. It's very interesting. So what I remember as far as media being a little kid, we'll start with, I have more memories as a small child from, Mama and Granddad's house in Gurley than I have anywhere else. I couldn't tell you where we were living at the time, but I have memories from that place, which is really interesting. But so I remember a few things. Number one, I remember the small TV on the countertop in the kitchen.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that was primarily when the grandkids were over. We kind of had a little bit of free reign on that one, unless Mama was in the kitchen making a meal, because then it was going to Wheel of Fortune.
100%, man.
But when she wasn't in there, we had free reign. We watched a lot of Dragon Tales on that thing because it was PBS. Because it was just
Tales, and I remember you guys watching Animaniacs. Do you remember?
Oh my God, I still love Animaniacs. It's so good.
Animaniacs,
Animaniacs gets funnier the older you get because there's so much political commentary.
There's a little bit of adult humor in there if you wade through it. It
aged like a fine wine.
Yeah,
I will tell you that.
Did.
And then in the living room was this absolute monstrosity. I mean, it had to have been the first flat screen television ever.
Well,
the screen was the only thing flat about it.
Do you remember before they got the flat screen, they had that old projector TV. You know,
That's
big
what
screen
I'm talking about.
Projector. The screen
that wasn't
flat.
A screen.
It was a screen, but the back of the TV, it wasn't
projected onto. Yeah, that's why it was so shitty. You had like 3
lights back there that projected onto the screen, right? And it was garbage unless the room was completely black.
Yeah,
your TV picture was terrible, man.
Yeah,
it was.
Terrible. And then it had like the whole bottom third was just a speaker.
Yeah.
Or like a speaker net.
Yeah.
God knows. They probably just had like one little shitty speaker right behind that
thing.
Yeah. So that was an interesting one. Mama watched a lot of the soap operas, game shows, Wheel of Fortune, Price is Right.
Yep.
Loved her some Price is Right.
Yep.
And then at night, she got a little crazy, turned on a lot of X-Files at night. And you might wonder, how do you know as a small child what your grandmother was watching at night? And I'll tell you how I know. Because when I was over at that house, it was generally around a holiday. Sometimes we were there in the summer. A lot of times, we didn't miss a Christmas down there. And if you grew up in the South as a small girl, the night before Christmas, you're sleeping with rollers in your hair. My cousin and I both were subjected to this madness.
Absolutely.
Massive. And I had long, thick hair. I've had a whole helmet of rollers on my head, and they didn't, rightfully so.
Because we were dressing up and taking pictures the next day.
Yes. And my grandmother and my aunt, rightfully so, did not trust Madison and I to not tear these things out of our hair sleeping. Mm. So they wanted to keep an eye on us. So they made us, I was the bigger one, so I slept on the couch. Mama was in the recliner, and Madison was on the love seat. And Mama would make us turn and face the couch cushions because she didn't want us watching the TV. But she had us sleeping in there so she could keep an eye on us and make sure we didn't mess our rollers up. And I would be like this close, just breathing in whatever that fabric was, just choking me, dude. And I would hear, ba, 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 ba. And so that's how I know what Mama was watching at night. But yeah, she loved her some X-Files. And then I remember when we were in Florida, when Mom and I moved to Florida, we got into a house that had a bonus room in it.
Yep. I remember.
So Mom got a pretty nice at the time flat screen TV. This is when these things were still very expensive. I don't remember what kind of TV was in mine, but that was like, I had my own TV.
Oh, you're high cotton.
America's Funniest Home Videos.
That was the go-to.
Nonstop.
The go-to.
You could not pull me away from those. And yeah, and Mom talks about all the time. She would just be in the living room or kitchen or something and would just hear me just dying by myself, just dying in the other room watching America's Funniest Home Videos. But then that was I was maybe in like 5th grade, and that was kind of the point at which it was like, okay, the TV stopped being like a lottie-dottie everybody in the family thing and started to be like, okay, we're going to put one in this one. We're going to put one over here for the kids. And then like people kind of started to move out of the living room. TV started popping up in bedrooms and like all of this stuff. You saw like, and that was before, the internet boomed and you could watch TV,
anywhere
on your phone, on your
anything.
computer, all this stuff. Right. The TVs just started to pop up in more places in the house.
Yeah. And I'm probably still stuck in that era. We talked a little bit about, when I was growing up and how big the TV was and the antenna on the outside of the house. I didn't have cable TV till I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I was in 9th grade.
So you had those 3 public channels.
When we moved off of the little farm we lived on in central Alabama, and we moved up to Hamilton where, Jennifer and I graduated school. I was halfway through my 9th grade year. That was the first time I'd ever had cable TV. And I was so excited. And we only had 15 channels because, my pops was only going to spring for the basic package.
That's 15 but it was times or 5 times more.
It was clear. I had TBS. I could watch the Atlanta Braves back in the day on
you can
TBS.
Watch sports. Yeah.
Had ESPN, which was money.
Yeah,
right?
Life-changing.
And then the greatest thing was I didn't have to go outside and adjust the antenna anymore because
there wasn't nothing to pick.
Cable,
it
man.
either worked or it didn't.
Cable,
yeah.
I was in high school when we got cable, and then we transitioned. And to your point about TVs in every room, I'm guilty of that. Because we have a nice TV, nice flat screen in the living room. I have one on our back porch, right? One in the bedroom. And keeping it with first world issues. I have one in the bathroom, believe it or not. I do. I have one in the bathroom.
Don't put
I'll be
that
honest
out
with you, that was
there
Alana's.
because Jordan's going to ask for one.
That was Alana's idea, because she likes to watch the news as she's getting ready or, Good Morning America or something, whatever she watches. And then I'll be honest with you, on Saturday mornings when I get up and, I'm in there messing around, getting the shower, whatever, and college game day's on, I'll pipe that through in the bathroom. I didn't realize I needed it, but it needs a funny word, but I didn't realize how, I don't want to use the word convenient. I didn't think I'd use it as much, but yeah, probably.
But now that
Saturday.
it's there, it's a part
you might
of your
as well
life.
turn it on, right? So.
Yeah, we have just the one. We do have a TV upstairs in our room, but it's just it was my old TV from my apartment when I first came up here.
Yeah.
It's a smart TV, so you could connect it to the Wi-Fi. It's not even plugged in. We're just afraid to throw it out for some reason. It's just sitting there. But yeah, we have kept the TV in just one room of our small house, and it takes up the entire wall.
There's
it's a 75
right there too, because when your brothers were growing up, had to have a second TV because those nerds wanted to play video games.
Yeah, you had the bonus room,
right? They wanted to play a video game, and I wanted to watch. Something else.
Or if you wanted to play video games while the kids were watching cartoons, it was like the living room is for watching, and the bonus room, that's for playing.
Was it, right?
Yeah, that's a good system.
But since they've gotten out of the house, I don't even have a video game system anymore. I got rid of it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I know you guys do. I know Jordan plays a little bit.
He plays a little bit, but because we don't have like cable or anything like that, both of our subscription services, all of them, we have 2, are piped through that PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
So that's primarily what
I
it's
use
for.
I use, what do we use? Roku, the Roku stick, right? And speaking of, what you have and how you consume your media, and you guys run it through your video game system, but YouTube TV, and let's get back to that.
Because we're going to fast forward now.
I spent an inordinate amount of time this morning canceling my YouTube subscription.
You canceled it.
I did. It's gone.
Did you have to call them?
Nope.
You were able to do it online?
Yes.
Ooh, sometimes they make it a little hard.
You have to.
Yeah, of course
it's hidden. It's layered in their website. You got to get to the right spot, and then it's just a button, and you click it. And I still have it because I'm paid up through the 20th.
Sure.
That's my billing cycle, right? So
you gotta wean yourself off of it.
So I'm now a Hulu subscriber.
Yeah, you capitulated to Disney.
I did. Well, I mean, look, it's football season.
Yeah,
I will
you're
tell
the
you,
sports
if it
guy.
was not football season, I'd have they'll settle it, right? Somebody will cave, right? I would have just let it.
Yeah, the somebody is you. You switched over to.
I did. I switched to. I jumped into Disney's contaminated swimming pool of media consumption, I mean, either I'm giving my money to the Disney conglomerate or YouTube TV's run by Google. So, pick your poison, right?
I'm on YouTube's side of this issue, and I don't have a dog in the fight because I have neither YouTube TV nor Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking at it from, I don't care. But so here's what I learned about this situation. Disney and YouTube had the deal, right? YouTube's got deals with YouTube TV, with all sorts of media providers. But the contract expired. They did not reach a new agreement.
Right.
And so YouTube yanks the access for ABC, ESPN, basically all of the things that Disney had provided. They yanked it immediately to put pressure on Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Disney's side is it's all around this carriage fee, which is how much YouTube or Hulu, which is owned by Disney, but would pay Disney to carry those channels.
Right.
Disney says they're getting lowballed by YouTube.
Yep.
Okay. YouTube says Disney is inflating its price to drive people off of YouTube TV
towards
and
Hulu.
Over to Hulu.
Because they own them and they're very compatible, right? Like your interface, how you can change the channel is very compatible. 92% of the channels on both services are the same.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I did not like when I was on YouTube, I didn't like the one of the drawbacks is YouTube TV doesn't carry the History Channel.
Oh, really?
Right. And I love the History Channel.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and guess what's on Hulu? History Channel. Right? And the price for my YouTube TV was about $88, $87, right? I went to Hulu Live with ESPN and Disney Plus, and I'm paying $89. And I picked up for now. That's the key word, for now, right? Because when we got off of DirecTV, I was paying somewhere around $160, but I had more TV than I could watch, right? I mean, there were hundreds of stations, right? And it just got so expensive. And then, when I first got on YouTube TV, I bet you it was only $49, $50.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And, it was great. But now that DirecTV has been pushed out, they have their own streaming service, right? But now that they've been pushed out, what are these streaming services doing? They're filling that gap, right?
They know how much people are willing to pay,
and how much they've had in the past.
Yeah, they'll slowly step it. They'll start you off with a good deal. I mean, cable companies did the same thing. Internet providers do the same thing.
Yes,
they start you off with a good deal, and then they step it up until you're kind of maxed out. Yeah, it's really interesting.
But the good thing about these streaming services, though, is you can play them off at each other. Right?
That's what I do with internet.
They'll run these deals, and it's so you don't have a contract, and it's so easy to cancel them. You don't have to have somebody come put a dish up in your yard, or another cable company run, their cable line to your house.
Right.
It's a couple of layers in their website and a couple of clicks, and you're terminated, right? And you can start somebody else up the same day, right? And to their credit, as technically savvy as I am, I was able to get all 4, 5 TVs up and running this morning on Hulu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's easy. Because I heard that was one of the drawbacks to Hulu was it's not as compatible across a range of devices as YouTube TV. Like their interface is still it is a
little different. Clunky. And I'll be completely transparent. I had to change the one of the settings on my TV in the living room. I had to go down to a lower quality picture because and my internet speed's fast, right? But Hulu was being choppy. So I had to go down to a lower setting.
I'd have never figured that out.
Right.
I just would have been like, I quit.
So, you can Google anything. So
yeah, that's true. So YouTube publicly proposed a deal. Normally these are done kind of in the back room.
They've tried to.
Has been very transparent about what its terms are being offered, and then they offered a $20 credit to people who are affected by the blackout.
Right.
And then who knows how long it'll keep going. And what's really interesting about YouTube TV, so YouTube is not in as strong of a negotiating position as I think it appears, because YouTube's owned by Alphabet, right? Alphabet, Google, blah, blah, blah. Well, these AI, like OpenAI and these other Perplexity, I think is another one, AI companies are coming out with web browsers.
Really?
Yes. And it's more than just because Google, when you Google something, has an AI summary that pops up first.
Yes.
And then you can scroll beyond that. That's not where the problem ends for Google. The problem is, since these AI browsers are just providing, you're paying for like ChatGPT or whatever to get the browser, and then they're providing you with the information. How does Google make most of its money? Advertisements.
Yeah, ads.
Like
100%.
As a business owner, I will pay to have my page ranked higher on Google.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on an AI browser, which is why people prefer them, you're not having to sift through people just paying.
How does AI determine what it throws at you first?
Probably the amount of traffic on that page. Like, it's more organic. Okay. Like, Walmart doesn't have to necessarily pay to be on Google's first page. Mm-hmm. They're there because they have so much traffic. But if you're trying to kind of break in, you're a new business, you can help yourself out by like whatever. Or if you're a nefarious actor who wants to throw some money at an idea or a media outlet or something like that, they can pay to have their news stories ranking a little bit higher than they would organically.
Okay.
And Google makes a lot of money with this, most of its revenue. It's called AdSense. Some of it comes from YouTube, which will continue to happen. But Google's in a really bad spot with these AI browsers because it's a huge revenue stream for them. And so this is causing kind of the share price to waffle a little bit. People are like, what's the future of Google? So this YouTube TV fiasco is not helping because they need to not lose subscribers, right? Because they're already bleeding money with AdSense.
And I was doing some before I made the decision to switch providers this morning. Last night I was doing a little bit of looking on it, and I think YouTube TV has somewhere north of 30 million subscribers.
I saw 8.
Was it 8? I saw they had hemorrhaged TV. 4.
Oh my God.
They had lost 4 million subscribers.
YouTube as a whole might have 30 million.
I was talking
it's got to be more than that.
I was talking YouTube TV.
Oh, wow. Right. I read 8 and that Hulu had 4.5.
I had, depending on where you look, you can find any.
But you saw that Hulu had far less.
Oh, Hulu has less.
Yeah.
Right. The number that really struck a chord with me was YouTube TV had already lost about 4 million subscribers.
I wonder what's the date range on that. Yeah. If it's from this debacle or like from a high, they've come down.
That's kind of what I was looking at. But here's the thing also with YouTube TV and, some of the people I was talking to at work. YouTube TV has exclusive rights to NFL game. What do they call it? NFL Sunday Ticket, right?
Oh boy.
So there's some people that won't get rid of their YouTube TV because they have Sunday. They've already paid a year's worth of Sunday Ticket money, to see all the pro games, right? So they're suffering without seeing the ESPN. The ABC network is not on there, and then the Disney channels, right? But a guy I work with said, hey, I'd like to watch college football, and the majority of the teams that we like to follow, that I like to follow, ABC and ESPN have the contract to the league, the Southeastern Conference that I follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And same with the guy at work, but he's like, I can't come out of YouTube.
You need to find, because you switched to Hulu. So what you should do is give your Hulu login to your buddy.
I like it, but I don't like it that much. I'm not doing that.
Y'all, ain't
I'm
no
not doing
love,
that because
no
here's
church
the thing.
in
I
the
don't know
wild,
what he's going to
dude.
watch. He'll be watching some sketch, some weird stuff,
God.
and then now I've got a name on the internet. I don't know how any of that crap works.
Yeah, maybe that's the play. People are real bad about voting with their dollar, because I tell you, if everybody would stay with YouTube TV, that would twist Disney's arm.
It will.
If everybody would
this
switch.
Is playing into what
it's playing into both of them. They're both making money right now.
Every person that goes to Hulu is money in the bank for Disney, because they own it, right? So, and then maybe this is why you made that point. Maybe this is why they're holding such a firm line, because every person that comes off of that. Now, there's other options. You don't have to go to Hulu. There's other options out there, right? Sling is an option.
But they're
Tubi,
not the powerhouses, though.
There's several streaming services that you can go to, but it's the live TV and having access to your local stations, that kind of necks it down to.
That's so unique
to these.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because now people are kind of paying. Both people are paying the same, so Disney is not succeeding in what YouTube is accusing them of doing, which is inflating the price to drive people to Hulu, because now they've come down to exactly where YouTube TV is.
Yeah, they're very compatible.
YouTube TV's not winning because they're failing to reach a deal because they're afraid Disney's trying to drive people off their platform.
Right.
Well, now they're driving people off their own platform by shutting off all of those services.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Everybody just needs to get together. One family has YouTube TV, one family has Hulu, and then you just exchange passwords until such time that a deal gets worked out.
Maybe. And YouTube TV, I did read this week. YouTube TV had approached Disney, because we had some elections this week, right? And one of the station ABC affiliates was one of the ones that had fallen off of YouTube TV, and YouTube TV wanted like a mini deal, right, where they put the ESPN channels on and they put the ABC local affiliate back on, so people could track and have information in regards to the election. But evidently Disney was like, "No, we're not. Go kick rocks." Either you come to terms, our terms, or we'll continue. And you'll continue to hemorrhage customers and not have access to our
good
network.
move on Disney's part. I mean, nobody who's under the age of 65 is watching their local ABC channel for
election coverage.
It's not happening. Yeah. I would have, you know what, like, shoot YouTube, but I would have laughed you out of the room too. Be totally honest. You know what I mean? Unless somebody is wheeling you to the polls.
Yeah, you're watching cable. You're
watching them on podcasts. You're on Twitter.
Yeah, you're grabbing it on Twitter. You're watching Fox News. You might be watching CNN. To talk about the elections in the bigger cities. We just had an election in New York City, and I think Minneapolis just elected a new mayor as well. So some of those big cities that aren't around you. I mean, but the only person that's going to cover, or the only channels that'll cover municipal elections, like I know you went and voted in on municipal elections, that's going to be a local station that provides you those results.
Yeah.
If TV is the medium that you absorb your information from.
Which it's not.
Not you.
And not most people my age and younger.
Yeah.
That's the key. And so that's why the media conversation is incredibly interesting. I think you're seeing the way people run for office change drastically. I mean, Barron kind of suggested to his dad, like, hey, go on some of these podcasts because me and all my buddies listened to them.
Absolutely.
And then Kamala Harris didn't. And then, we saw like the trust points for Kamala Harris just go through the ground. I don't blame her for not going on because she doesn't know how to speak.
Nah.
That would have been real rough.
She does struggle in that kind of thing. I think she struggles. She wants canned questions. She wants softballs. She doesn't react quickly on her feet.
Yeah, because she's not like a real person. You gotta be a real person.
Some people can do that. I mean, if you're comfortable in your skin, you are who you are. It shouldn't matter who you're talking to or what medium you're talking on or what questions somebody asks you. If you know what you're about and your values are truly yours, then you should be able to.
If you care about putting your ideas out there and truly representing people, no problem.
Right.
If you care about winning and you know that you're not a good speaker, you're going to avoid going on a 3-hour podcast.
The Democratic Party is so broad right now that,
Big tent, as they say.
Yeah. I mean, if you talk the moderate piece, you're going to really piss off the left, the left side of the Democratic Party. If you talk to the left side of the Democratic Party, the moderates are going to be like,
yeah, we're going over here. Yeah.
Right.
And I think learned
a
that.
A lot of your moderate Democrats, I think, may find themselves in the Republican camp.
Yeah. The problem is it's very easy to speak to moderates and get them to understand your point of view if you're just being within reason. It is very hard to get moderates to the polls.
It is.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, I understand why some politicians, I'm just picking my son's nose over here, if anybody's wondering. We're getting over a little cold.
Big
and
yawn.
He is a snot. I'm covered in baby snot right now.
You are welcome.
Brown corduroy was not a good choice.
No, you're going to be all kind of crusty here.
For nose wiping. Why is there so much surface area on my clothes?
What are you doing, boy?
Him hollering at
He's got opinions on these things too.
You want to come up here and talk about Kamala Harris?
Because that's where we were
before we were so rudely interrupted.
Give me my remote, Ma. You have to adjust these lights.
Ain't got
that might get edited out, Johnny. You better hope so, because if not, the first girlfriend you bring over to the house, guess what she's seeing?
Yeah, Mama picking your nose. All right, now we got a headphone wrapped. Okay.
Here we go. First world problems.
Golly. Yeah, but point being, I think if you're running for office, you got to be on the internet, and nobody really trusts or cares what you say on CNN, Fox, 60 Minutes. Like, at least not nobody. Young people don't care because there's too much cahooting that can go on.
I don't think they could see it. And yes, there is some, and I think we've seen it. I think we've seen it play out maybe in the last election.
The
questions are passed. They know what they're going to be asked.
They re-ask it and then edit the answer.
And then they edit the answer. Yeah. That's not a good way to do business. Just be you. Again, be you. Be a representative, and let the chips fall where they may. Don't can it. Nobody wants to see it canned.
Mm-hmm.
Put yourself on the spot.
Yeah. And if you have strong opinions about somebody one way or another, whether you like them or don't, and they're on a long form podcast and you're not listening to them, you know what I mean? Like, you got I think what's really cool is a lot of these people, candidates running for office and stuff like that are they are hopping on to make their ideas known. And
well, you can't fake a 3-hour podcast.
You can.
No?
So, like, if you think you know who somebody is, we're blue now. I like it. You think you know who somebody is based off of the clips that circulate the internet or that are on, like, cable news channels.
Yeah.
And you formed a strong opinion, you should go and listen to them speak for an hour to verify it.
Sure.
we have this conversation all the time about Marjorie Taylor Greene because I am a huge MTG fan and Dad does
she's just, I don't know.
Dad does not agree with me about MTG.
Really? I don't.
She is, she's running in 2028. She just announced
I don't think she will, man. I think
she just said she was.
I don't think she's going to come out of the primary.
Oh, well, she's going to be in the primary.
Well, that's fine, but I don't know.
I'm excited.
We're a long time away, right?
We're
3+ years away from, or 2+ years away from the primary.
I mean, midterms started on November 5th, so we're well.
They did. They absolutely did.
We are well on our way.
Yeah, but I think you may see a J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio ticket from the right. And I'm not really sure who the left's going to put forward.
Marco Rubio is growing on me.
He's a much better Secretary of State than he was senator.
Yes.
I
and maybe he is more suited.
He's more impactful. He's more impactful. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and maybe he's more suited for an executive role than he was a representative role.
I think he's more suited to be a diplomat than he is a senator, honestly.
Yeah, he was able to get in, build a team. Yeah.
It translates, right?
Exactly. He was able to build a team for sure.
He being Hispanic does not help or does not hurt at all.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't hurt at all.
Especially as a Republican.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think it gives him a platform and gives him, more people's ear. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I want to like J.D. Vance a lot. I like that he's a Marine. I like that he's funny. He dressed up as himself. A meme version of himself for Halloween.
See it.
Okay,
but I did see the sombrero when he was going after Representative Jeffries, which tickled the crap out of me.
They have been going back and forth with this. So basically, the meme is it's a fat J.D. Vance with essentially a Jerry curl.
Really,
and it's a thing that young people send back and forth to each other all the time, and it's been going on for years. And then they started photoshopping J.D. Vance's face on different, fat people, funny people, whatever, just on all sorts. It was became a meme for a while where it was almost like getting rickrolled. You weren't expecting to see it. And then you're like, oh, it's freaking J.D. Vance. And so anyway, he dressed up as the Jerry Curl meme version of himself for Halloween.
It's good. You got to have a good sense of humor.
He does have a good sense of humor. I just don't like Palantir and Peter Thiel as a general rule. When you're the CEO of AI, and war machines and stuff like that, and in your free time, instead of playing tennis, you give a 4-part talk on the Antichrist.
You follow him a lot more than I do, right?
Brother.
I don't dig into it.
You didn't have to dig for that one, dude. He gave a 4-part talk where people bought tickets to watch him in San Francisco talk about the Antichrist.
We use some of his projects at work. Some of his tools at work, and it's pretty good. I've only heard him speak within the last month. As he's shown up on a couple of cable news networks, but I haven't looked into his background. I couldn't, I probably couldn't pick him out of a lineup, honestly, unless there's only one guy with crazy hair, because he does have some whooped up hair.
He does, yeah.
But
and his eyes are a bit bulging. He's a frightening person to look at, I think. Look.
You got a target portfolio on this guy or something? What do you
I just why is the Antichrist the thing you're into in your free time? And I was talking to one of my friends about him, and apparently this guy lost some friends in 9/11, and since then has been on a tear to make sure nothing like that ever happens again in this country. And that is probably the rosiest picture you can paint, right, about his motives. And because he's talking about the Antichrist, he is exploring faith and Christianity and all of this stuff. And you could say that those things are a good thing.
If he's not talking about it, then if he's talking about it, then he believes in it, right? And
because
not that he believes in the Antichrist, but he believes in religion and how the Bible says the world may come to an end.
Even Satan himself believes in God, Dad.
Well, He started out up there, then I think he was cast.
Yeah.
Pack your
So
stuff. Beat it.
Even demons believe in God. It's how you live that's a bit more indicative of who you are as a person. So, yeah, I don't trust that Peter Thiel would say no to $1 gazillion to prevent American citizens from being surveilled upon. And I know that J.D. Vance came up under Peter Thiel's wing, and I just want J.D. Vance to clarify what his relationship is with Peter Thiel and kind of where the boundary in that relationship is. I want to see him distance himself from Peter Thiel a bit. He doesn't have to like denounce him or whatever. Just show me that like you're independent of the military industrial complex, that you're inherently skeptical of the military industrial complex. I think we need that. Your favorite presidents came out and said the exact same thing after World War II. Was he your favorite president?
Which one?
Was it Ike or was it Roosevelt? That warned about in his departing speech, he warned about the military.
I don't remember exactly, but I don't think it was Roosevelt because he was president during the war. I think it was probably Eisenhower.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, they warned about the rise of the military-industrial complex. And listen, I know it writes a lot of paychecks for people, but like, yeah, but at what cost? You know, like
at
it is.
At what cost? That's true.
It is because it's a self-perpetuating thing. I mean, I think a lot of the boogeymen we see on the international stage are brought to you by Raytheon, if you know what I'm saying, because like they don't make money if we don't have problems. So why? Well, what's the incentive structure?
They do. You know, we have to have a strong defense, right? I believe a strong defense deters aggression, and I think you know they do. Technology and the way countries are fighting each other now is enough for them to continue their profits. You don't have to create a boogeyman, right? The way wars are fought currently or transitioning to currently is enough to keep them employed, right? It's just the new.
Well, the fact that we care about every war enough to like donate to it, I think that's the creation of the boogeyman. Like if you don't pick a side on this and start sending stuff over here, then something really, really bad is going to happen to the United States. That's always like the argument for getting involved in wars that don't seem to have a lot to do with us.
I don't know.
And then reasonable people can fall on one side or the other of that argument. I'm
not picking a side. Well, I mean,
but that's the basis of the argument. Like either you believe that, yes, if we don't pick a side in a lot of these wars, it will have downstream effects on the United States, or you don't believe it. Jonathan,
the way wars are being fought is changing, and if we don't keep up, we're going to be severely disadvantaged and I'm not pulling for this at all, if and when the next time for us to use military power is warranted. You know, we can have the discussion all day long about the use of military power to interdict drug boats. You know, you're blowing up 16 fast-moving boats that are probably carrying a fraction of the substances that are coming into the United States. How effective is that?
And how much is the munition and the man hours and the stuff? And, you know, I'm not sure that like moving boats and men around the world has the deterrent effect that it used to, but it costs increasingly more and more to do it.
Oh, I don't know. I think parking a aircraft carrier off the coast of a country sends a message and creates.
I mean, does it still? Has that stopped anybody from doing things we don't want them to do?
It has probably caused the guy down in Venezuela a couple of sleepless nights.
Yeah, but has he come to the... He tried to come to the table, and then we told him to get lost, and then parked an aircraft carrier next to him. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, do we want a deal or like, do we not? You know, you put the whole 82nd on the border of Ukraine, and that did absolutely nothing to
Sure did. We don't know what
Russia.
It didn't do because you can't prove a negative, right? Can't prove a negative.
No, but we do know what Vladimir Putin said he would do if we said Ukraine can come into NATO, and then he did that exact thing. So,
yeah.
Yeah. He never said he would invade Poland if Ukraine came into NATO, but he did say that it would cause a conflict between him and Ukraine if Ukraine went into NATO. And then, you know, he went in and did the exact thing that he wanted to do, regardless of 18th Airborne Corps' hastened presence in the region. You know, it was just really expensive to get over there, and we just sat around in the cold for a few months.
That's okay. You don't know what you stopped. You know, I live in that world every day. I don't know what would deter.
I believe that we don't know what we stopped. So then we cannot say that we stopped anything.
That's what I'm saying. You can't prove
either way.
Negative, right?
Well, and you can't prove that
you can't.
It was helpful.
I mean,
it was just really, really expensive.
I believe that our ability and our resolve to posture our forces forward on extremely short notice as a reaction to Russia's attempted invasion of Ukraine probably deterred a spillover.
Yeah. He never claimed that he wanted to spill over, though.
Well, he said up until he came across the border that he wasn't going to invade Ukraine.
No, he told us, if you try to get Ukraine into NATO, that is a red line for me. Up until... And then he said, I'm just doing military exercises, which at the time
they went.
Was true. And then the next day, he was like, I'm doing an invasion today.
He put him there and put him in a battle position, knowing... I mean, anybody who had any military experience knew that they would uncoil into Ukraine.
Right, but they didn't wake up on a random Wednesday to do that. They did that after we crossed a red line and were not deterred from their retaliation by the presence of increased military capacity, in Poland and in NATO. They were still going toward their goal.
I wonder if I mean, he's kind of in a tar baby right now.
Yeah,
Mr. Putin is, and I wonder if knowing then what he knows now, and what I mean is the fortitude of the Ukrainians, and they were supposed to take 3 days. We even had some senior military leaders in our camp that said, okay, that they'll last a week.
This is what I'm talking about with the boogeyman.
But, I mean, do you think he would still do it knowing what it would what it ended up costing him in equipment and men and probably a little bit of political footing and economic footing? Because, I mean... Their economy's suffering.
They dipped, they bounced back in a big way, and now there's a lot of uncertainty with the oil sanctions now because he's not making a deal.
Everything that's holding that economy together is producing things that is being consumed in Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, like India takes Western Europe gets a lot of stuff from Russia, particularly energy.
They used to.
Yeah. And so now that there's some increased pressure, I think he would still do it because Russians have proven themselves as a people who are very willing to suffer over a grudge.
Yeah, they are, over a grudge.
Yeah. And, I think also a good question is, knowing what we know now, was it really necessary to go over there and deliberately cross a red line for the country of Ukraine?
Listen, we crossed we broke a promise, right? We broke the United States. We broke a promise from several administrations ago, probably the Clinton administration, where we said NATO will not move further east, right? And what do? We soak up Estonia, Latvia, and what's the other one? Baltic country up there? Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, right? We soak up them. Romania, Poland, we soak up them, right? And we continue to creep east. And what sits the Russians off, or what sits Mr. Putin off? He was a former KGB agent, grew up in the Cold War, student of history. The land that he's fighting the Ukrainians on, the last 3 times somebody's tried to invade Russia, that's the way they've come, right? So I understand him wanting a buffer, and, I've heard the point made, what if, he started putting folks in Mexico or Canada?
Well, he tried it in Cuba one time, and it almost went real freaking bad.
Right?
Yeah.
So what would we have done, right? And I think he's sending what aid he can. He's sending some aid to Venezuela. He's probably sending some advisors. He's probably sending some anti-air capability down there. I don't know. You know, so you know how is it gonna play out? You know, he's not. You know, you don't you don't stay in power over there for 20 plus years being dumb. You know,
or not being liked by the people, because they've proven that they will toss somebody violently.
Yeah,
if they don't like him. So I think this perception that like.
I mean,
nobody in Russia likes Putin. I don't know that that's true.
That's a media narrative.
Yeah.
You know, that's a media narrative. You know, I think as long as he can portray strength to the Russian people, I think they'll continue to support him, because the Russians will not support a loser. They will not support somebody who has a perception of being weak or capitulates. But as long as he can, you know, allow his country to continue in the face of the economic sanctions, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is over there, but I know what I read, that, you know, their inflation somewhere around 16-17%. That's not good. You know, the ruble is suffering. That's not good. The oil that they are getting out, you know, they're discounting it so deep that, yeah, they're making some money, but they're not. How long can he sustain it? I don't know.
Right.
You know, I don't know. Boy, we drifted from TV, didn't we?
Did we, though?
Did we?
I don't know.
Yeah, I came in here all fired up because, you know, I had to make drastic life decisions and changes this morning just to consume some college football later today.
Maybe the fact that you're not droning in front of ESPN Game Day just has you thinking about, you know, the world and the existential.
Listen, I need 3 hours of mindless
entertainment
in front of ESPN. I need Pat McCaffrey, or what's his name? Pat McAfee. I need Pat McAfee, Coach Saban, and Desmond Howard, and Kirk Herbstreit.
Are Pat McAfee and Coach Saban getting along yet?
They're very tight.
Okay, good.
They're very tight, which is the oddest odd couple relationship I would have ever thought of. You know, I would not have thought that they would ever.
Nick Saban is like the dad, and Pat McAfee's like the dog the dad said he didn't want. And after like 6 months, the dad and the dog are inseparable.
Inseparable. I really believe they have because it's not just on game day. Like, you know, Pat has his own TV and radio show, and Coach Saban goes on. I think. Yeah, and Coach Saban goes on there once a week. Yeah, goes on there once a week, and I never would have thought those two would have got along.
No.
You know?
Well, I hope everybody has a good Saturday. The set director here is
telling us to wrap it up.
He has decided that we're done. So we'll be praying for you guys that you can consume whatever media you want and whatever.
At a reasonable price.
At a reasonable
And count your lucky stars that you don't have 3 channels.
Hey, church is free, and
yes, absolutely.
and they won't kick you out because of a bad deal with Disney. So you should try and make your way down there this weekend. But if not, we'll see you right back here next week. This was the I Reckon podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you later. Never fails.
Johnny said, "That's enough. You're closing in on an hour."